Okay, we are going to continue with graphing inequalities. So we are going to use this page of our notes some. And then remembering snow on the roof. So if you are told to shade above because it's greater than, you think about the line as part of the roof and you shade it above on the roof. Less than, you shade below. Then we have vertical and horizontal. Okay, so you can always look back at these. Graphing in the calculator. We also talked about how to do that. You put it into y equals, but then you move the cursor over to the left to change what's in front of y1 to either be above, this is an above triangle, this is a below triangle. Then you graph and look at it. We did these already where we graphed above and below, so you should have all these completed. But the way that you graph is you start with your b, which is your y-intercept. So let's just look at this one. Y is less than negative 2 over 3x plus 4. So the way that you graph is you start with your y-intercept b. So we're going to plot b at our y-axis. And then you do your rise over run. So negative 2 over 3. That means down 2 over 3. Because it's less than, when we do less than, it's dashed and a shade below. Okay? So we are going to look at these three examples now. So it says y is something mx plus b. That's our slope-intercept form. Go ahead and write this down. This right here could be a less than, equal, greater than, equal. And these symbols will determine how you shade and how you draw your line. It's either above or below shading or a dashed or solid line. So if it's in standard form, we can't put this into y equals. We can't graph it like this. We've got to solve it for y first. So in order to solve it for y, you've got to move the x first. So we have a 2x on this side. We need to move it to the other side. I move it by doing the opposite. If I don't, then it won't be equal anymore and it'll be a fake. So I'm going to move the 2x over to the other side. Carry down the 4y is less than equal to. I keep these separated because I want mx plus b. So it's going to be negative 2x plus 16. Divide by 4 all the way through. And we keep our symbol the same because we didn't divide by a negative. So we can use our calculator to do negative 2 divided by 4. But we want it as a fraction because in order to graph, we usually want rise over run. So we want a fraction. So hit math. Number 1 is negative 1 over 2. And then 16 over 4 is just 4. So plus 4. So in order to graph, we have it in the mx plus b form. So I'm going to write down what b is. B is 4. So that's where we start with our graphing. So plot your y-intercept at 4. And then you do your slope. Our slope is the negative 1 over 2. So rise negative 1, run 2. So I'm going to go down 1 over 2. Down 1, right 2. When you first start out, you always go right. Down and right for negative. Up and right for positive. Down, right. And then our symbol is going to determine how we are going to graph it. So if you look back at the unit divider, that pink page, so it's a less than equal to. So here's the Here's a less than equal to. Solid line, shade below. So I'm going to write that. Solid below. So use your ruler to draw your solid line. We're going to shade these below. So think about snow on the roof. On the roof would be above. So below, think about this as your roof, part of your roof. This would be the other part. So it'd be like this. Above would be up here. So then below would be down here. And if you need to, you can also look at the shading from the snow on the roof. So less than or equal to, it looks like this. See how it's basically to the left of it. It's not always like that, but with this line it is. So shade it. Use your pencil to do the shading. I also want us to look at the calculator. So once you've shaded it, let's look at our calculator. So go to y equals. Everybody go to y equals. We can't put 2x plus 4y is less than or equal to 16 in the calculator. But we can put y, because it says y equals already, negative 1 over 2. So remember how to get a fraction on here? You do the alpha y equals. Once you're in y equals, do alpha y equals and choose the first one, n/d. That gives you that fraction. Don't forget your x plus 4. Make sure it looks like mine. Negative 1 over 2x plus 4. If you forget the x, it's going to give you a straight line. So don't do that. All right. Then we need to go to the left side, and it's a below. So remember what the below triangle of shading looks like? Looks like this. So push enter until you get the below one. If you go past it, just keep on pushing enter until you get there. And hit graph. And it looks the same. The only thing that's different is how big this graph is versus this one. So if we hit trace, you can find out what your y-intercept is, and it's at 4. And then if you just arrow over, you can find out different points if you'd like. All right, let's go to the next one. Negative 4x minus 3y is greater than 12. Draw your line down your inequality, just like we would with equations, and we're going to solve it. So you got to move it around. So this is a negative 4x. Add 4x to both sides. Negative 3y is greater than. Keep them separate because x and a non-x can't be combined, so it's 4x plus 12. We still got to get y by itself. So we're going to divide by a negative 3. Yep, you've got to flip that sign. So I'm going to circle it, and I'm going to write flip on here. That way I won't forget to flip it. So anytime your y is negative over on the left side, that means that you're probably going to flip your sign because you're going to have to divide by the number in front. So it's y is now less than, it's 4 over negative 3. But with negatives, it can be confusing knowing where the negative belongs. If it's on the bottom or if it's on the top, it could just be pulled out front of the fraction, like that. So it's negative 4 over 3x, because that doesn't reduce. And then 12 divided by a negative 3 is a negative 4. So don't forget that we flipped the sign. If you don't flip the sign, it'll be a fake. It's not going to be true anymore. So flip that. All right, let's start with our graphing. Mx plus b. So start with b, -4. And our m is -4 over 3. So we'll start with our y-intercept of -4. So go to your y-axis, plot -4. And we need to go down and right, but I can't do that. So we do the complete opposite. What's the complete opposite of down and right? Up, how many? 4. And left, 3. Yeah. So let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, 2, 3. All right, so we have our dots. Let's not make our line just yet. We've got to know what this is going to be graphed like. It's a less than symbol. So dashed and below, yeah. So if you look at the pink page, less than, dashed, and below. So always refer back to your notes. So I'm going to write the word dashed and below. So whenever you draw your line, make sure you do not connect it as a solid line. Do a dashed or dotted or something. And then think about snow on the roof for shading above and below. If this is your roof, this would be the other side of the roof. On the roof would be over here if it was above, but it's below, so it's going to have to be on this side. Let's graph it too in the calculator. Wait a second to finish that. All right, now go back to your calculator. When you're on y equals, push clear, and it'll get rid of everything on that y1 equals. Now let's put this in. The fraction can be put in with alpha y equals. We're going to do -4 over 3. Then go over and put your x in. And then put -4. Don't put -4, put -4. There's a difference. Put that in. Make sure it looks like mine. Then arrow over. And since it's below, we're going to pick the below triangle, which looks like that. So in the calculator, it's going to look like a little right triangle sitting on the bottom. Hit graph and check out your work. One thing you can always check is that y-intercept. Hit trace. See the word trace right here? Hit trace, and it'll go directly to that y-intercept of -4, which that's where we had it. So our graph on our calculator is a bigger window than our graph that's on our paper that we graphed on. All right, last one. Draw your line down your inequality symbol. We're going to move x over. Okay, so 0 can just be left off. I don't have to put +0 or anything like that. I can leave it off because 0 doesn't change it. Then divide by -2 whenever I do that. I can't forget to flip it. So y is now greater than -6 over -2. Yep, 3x. So we don't have a b, but we have an m. So if we don't have a b, then b is 0. This is 3x. Don't mistake that with just 3, and it would have just a y-intercept. This is 3x, so our slope is 3, and it has to have a run. So our run is going to have to be 1. So start with 0, your y-intercept, and do your slope, 3 over 1. So it's positive, so that means up and right, up and right. Up 3, right 1. Can't go up again. So do the complete opposite. Down, 1, 2, 3, right 1. Yep, this is a greater than. It's dashed. Greater means above. So think about snow on the roof. Above would be on the roof. So if this is part of the roof, let's make my pencil the other part. Think about a roof like that. Above would be over here. And if you're not sure, you can always use that calculator, which we're going to check it anyway. But the calculator can help you with the shading part if you need it. Or your notes could also help. So go back to y equals. Clear it out. We have 3x. Put it in. Arrow over. We're going to do above, so push enter. Above looks like this in the calculator. We have this in our notes, but looks like that because that's on the roof. Hit graph. And that's what it looks like. Okay, and then your assignments, I'm going to pass that out. There are mostly already in y equals. So if I have this one, I'm not going to pass it out just yet. Let's just look at it real quick. Y is greater than or equal to negative 3x plus 4. In order to graph it, I'd need to know what b is. B is 4. I'd need to know what m is. Negative 3. But I need a denominator. What would be the run on that one? Okay, and then how is this going to be graphed? Solid and above, okay? You can look back at that blue foldable that we did. Look at number 4. This is just y is greater than negative 4. Is this Hoy or Vux? Hoy. So it's going to be a horizontal line at negative 4. Okay? Your y-intercept is negative 4. Your slope is 0. Okay, one last one I want to look at with you is number 7. It says x is less than negative 5. It's a Vux problem. So it's going to be a vertical line where x is negative 5. So a vertical line. And it's going to be a less than problem. All right, go ahead and glue this page in your journal, and I'll pass out your assignment.